What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 37 of Feel the Heat. Speaking of feeling the heat, I feel like this one's going to be a little spicy because I have been in a mood all day over the fact that Heat Bulls was allowed. And I'm only unraveling with each player that comes up positive. But before we get into that, Mr. Michael, how are you this evening? Recording on a special time, too, may I add?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, we're coming to the man of Monday now, which is different.
I get to
Scheduling
start off the
changes.
week with
Yeah,
us.
scheduling
That's
changes
exciting.
happen, but we're switching it to a Monday now. So you guys
Mm-hmm.
get a Monday episode. Um, I feel fairly strongly about that game having been played. I don't think it should have been. I don't think I feel nearly as strong about that game as you do. And because of that, I'm just gonna let you go ahead and say what you gotta say, because that bald guy who runs the NBA is about to get an earful from Allana Tachauer, who, according to herself, is very important in the NBA world. And so, Adam, listen up
When did I say that exactly?
all the time.
Important in the NBA world. I'm important in the world at large, but
So then
specifically
that
the
would make
NBA
you
world.
important in the NBA world as well, because the NBA world is part of the world.
Sure, but I don't think I specifically said
Do you want to
NBA world.
eviscerate Mr. Silver or not?
I do. The thing is, though, we should have recorded earlier today because I was legitimately pacing around my kitchen in fury, and now I've had some time to calm down. Here's the thing, and for all some of you, if some of you don't know, the Bulls went in to the Saturday night matchup with the Heat with 7 players in COVID protocol, and now this is after Vucevic already had COVID and was out for however long. And if memory serves, he actually was symptomatic. I think he lost some weight. Regardless, you have 7 players that tested positive. At this point, I don't know. Maybe the game should have been postponed. And I will shout out Ethan because Ethan had the grand idea that it could be postponed until, I don't know, Christmas Day, since this would have been a great Christmas Day matchup. But of course, the game wasn't postponed. It goes ahead. The Heat win, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then this morning, we come to find out that Zach LaVine and Troy Brown Jr. are now out due to safety and health or whatever protocol, aka they have COVID. That makes 9 players. And honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and say this 9 and counting. We all know how COVID testing works at this point. Just because you're negative one day doesn't mean you're going to be negative the next. I think that it's almost impossible that none of our guys will get it. I hope that's the case. I hope we somehow come out of this unfazed. But I don't know. To me, it's just so irresponsible to let that game go on. And I know, Michael, you and I were talking offline about this. This is just very reminiscent of a time last January, if you'd like to piggyback off that. Because
this is almost exactly like the game that we played against the Washington Wizards earlier this year. It wasn't even last year. It was earlier this year.
Actually, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not even been a full year yet, right? That's about a month away. That game took place January 9th. It was a game against the Washington Wizards. The Heat were 8 games into their season. They win that game, right, to move to 4-4. I think Bradley Beal was even out for that game, which makes only having won 128 to 124 a little bit more infuriating. But we know how the Heat go, and the Wizards have plenty of random scrub Heat killers on their team, so it happens. But after that game, multiple players, and by multiple I mean a lot of players on the Miami Heat, actually contracted COVID and tested positive, and were out for a decent amount of time. Jimmy Butler being the most notable. Jimmy Butler was out after that game from Saturday, January 9th, all the way until Saturday, January 30th. He was out an entire 3 weeks. He had it, as far as we all know, and we all remember Jimmy came back looking different. It got him, and it hit him pretty hard, as it can do. He was out for a total of, I think it was 10 games, and during that stretch, he went 2-8. Bam was out for 2 games. I think he lost both of those games as well. He was able to come back. I just think you saw it happen last year. This isn't like, oh, this is the first time we're dealing with playing basketball during a COVID era. This is essentially season number 3 in a world where COVID exists and is a thing. I understand that it is a business and things need to go on and you can't just stop everything all the time. But when you have one team that has multiple players,
9 players,
7 at the time, to be fair,
sure,
7 at the time that tested positive, you can't just sit there and assume that no one else has it. And then you play the game, more come back positive. That's going to spread to the other team. Now the Heat play, who do the Heat play tomorrow night? The Heat play the Cleveland Cavaliers tomorrow night, or sorry, for all of you listening tonight. And if you're listening after the Cleveland Cavaliers game, well, you're just listening to us later in the week and we'll see you later. But they play the Cavaliers. Most likely someone out from the Cavaliers is going to go ahead and get it as a byproduct of someone from the Heat get it. And just because someone on the Heat has
basically patient zero. I
right,
mean,
and just because the Heat player has it doesn't mean that they're going to test positive. They could test negative and still have it. That is just how it goes. They pass it on to someone else who does end up testing positive sooner rather than later. This can be a real quick and easy way to derail a season. And the Heat are at a point where it's not like we have players that we can lose. No one ever wants to lose players. We're already down Bam. We're already down Jimmy. Keith hasn't come back yet because
Caleb is out with COVID already, which means
of the Stay Puft Boy over there. If you don't get that
but here's the thing: the Heat may already have COVID in more places than they're aware, outside of the interaction with the Bulls. Because if Caleb has it, that means that someone else could have it too.
Now, so yeah, and Caleb could have gotten it just somewhere completely else, right? Like that doesn't mean that he got it necessarily on the court. The NBA has to try and do the best they can, and they're not going to stop it completely.
So to say the best they can.
So to say that every COVID case is on Adam Silver, I think that's ridiculous. But when you have a team facing an outbreak of 7 cases, you do not play a game that same night.
And let me just cut in for a second. It's not just the team. Stacey King, the announcer, also has it. He has been out for, I think, a week already and supposedly is symptomatic. And Bill Wellington, who filled in for Stacey King, also tested positive. So he couldn't even announce Saturday's game.
If you're an announcer, you can't. I mean, I doubt they're wearing masks because you're not going to speak through that microphone muffled.
Nope.
And I don't blame them, right? You can't.
No, I mean, they're not mandated.
You don't want to sound like Bane, right? Like, I'm like, oh, welcome to the
everyone is vaccinated. It has been confirmed. All of the Bulls, obviously, all of the Heat are too. Which, thank goodness, because most of the cases have been just players who are asymptomatic, but that doesn't stop the spread. So to me, again, a completely reckless decision that I think is only just going to get worse now. I am honestly, every time I get a Twitter notification, I'm just like, oh, it's going to be news of another player.
There hasn't been any sort of comment made by Adam Silver or anyone in the league office, correct?
There has not. No.
I mean, at least an acknowledgement of what is happening too. Look, if you want to come out and say, we understand the cases that are coming out, we're going to play the games anyways, I disagree with you, and I will disagree with you forever.
They're never going to say that.
At least you're saying something.
But that's making
right. They're not going to say that, but they're also not coming out and apologizing either. So obviously, what they think is, well, it's business. We're going to move forward regardless of the cost.
I mean, there's in no universe do I think that Adam Silver and whoever else has not consulted legal at this point. Because if they come out and say we're aware of this, but that gives them. I mean, that makes them look really bad. But if they're sitting there and saying like, we're going to play anyway, also like there's nothing they can say at this point without consulting a legal team that is going to save face. It's too late.
I think if they want to go ahead and play these games, I think they should come out with some rule. And here's just an example rule that definitely isn't perfect, but I think might work. If you have a situation where another team has 5 or more positives at any one time, I say give the other team's players the option of sitting out that game. Right? I don't think that solves anything because, you still have the teammates and the teammates can come and do this whole thing. But like, let's just say a Kyle Lowry, for example, and he went out there and played and, he's a trooper. He's doing what he has to do. But let's just say Kyle Lowry was like, I don't want to contract it.
Well, and they were wearing masks during the warm up, and they did that for a reason. They were sending a message.
Right.
It's
like maybe Kyle Lowry says, I don't want to do it.
A warm up what is that going to do in terms of mitigating your risk? None. Like, they know that. They're not
Yeah.
stupid. They're going to then go play against the team for 40 some minutes. Like, that wasn't the point. It was
And you don't play,
absolutely to
you
send a
can't
message.
social distance on defense.
Absolutely
That's
not.
just not how it works. You got to get up in there. You got to get your forearm into their back. You're going to be swapping sweat from each other's shoulders up to your face, especially if you're Kyle Lowry, who's a shorter guy.
There's no escaping it on the court. It's just not, that's not how it works.
There's not a way around it. And you and I both know this to be true. The NBA is not going to do anything about it. They're not.
No, of course not.
They already had to postpone one season, right? And that was because none of us had any idea what was going on when Rudy Gobert decided he wanted to touch all those reporters' microphones. And that spread like wildfire, and you started seeing the traces, and it was everywhere. Then they postponed it. It was the first time it happened. After that, we've had outbreaks for over a year now, and they just haven't done anything.
They have not had outbreaks like this, though, in quite some time. 9 players on one team plus staff.
The one team. Well, the Heat lost maybe like 4 or 5.
I think it was maybe 3 or 4.
But I think it was also because there wasn't a large, because probably one staff was a lot less like available to players.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
like everything, arenas were
much
emptier. Like,
right.
It was a completely different time. Mm-hmm. So I think that might play into part of it as well. I just think.
Sure. But if you're,
Adam,
now that you've brought this up, in terms of the broadcasters, obviously every arena is different, but sometimes they're very close to just general people in the audience, in the stands, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Stacey King could be sitting there and announcing the game with spit flying out of his mouth, because that's what happens when someone is yelling.
Yep.
And that could go spread around the United Center. I mean, this entire situation is just
the referees are right there on the court, and they don't take a private jet. Don't nobody put a referee on a private jet. So I'm sure they fly, regular public airlines like everyone else. So now they're going into the airport and they're flying over to another city and getting to that city. Like, I just think, look, if you can, go get vaccinated, because this is not going anywhere anytime soon. And I just think, and obviously I'm not speaking to you, Allana, I'm speaking to general public. Look, you'd rather be safe than sorry. I just don't. If you can take your chance of,
though.
Huh?
This situation is not being safe.
No. This situation is not being safe. But this obviously shows that, in my opinion, the kind of world at large, or at least America at large, isn't taking it that seriously. And the places that are taking it seriously, people are upset about, and the places that aren't taking it seriously, people are upset about. Look,
well, supposedly we're living in a post-pandemic world. I don't know where the post came from, but the amount of times I've seen that on Twitter today alone.
We're post the first strain of COVID, maybe.
Sure, hopefully. Yeah.
Right, we're on strain 5 or 6 strain, or 7.
Sure,
like, yeah. Who knows what it is? I just look. If you can protect yourself and your family and those around you, go get vaccinated. That is just the way I think it should be. If you have a reason to not want to do that, then mask up, social distance, stay safe. The NBA has been a microcosm of what's been happening with this whole COVID situation since the beginning, because the world, I say, but America really started to take it seriously and shut down when it was Rudy Gobert. Obviously, there was other things going on. There was a lot of cases, but when they saw the NBA get it and the NBA decided to shut down, everybody shut down as well. And that was the start of, for some people, the longest, maybe month, 3 months, year of their life. And we're still here. So the NBA can be a leader in this case. And I think they did a pretty good job with the bubble. Sure. In saying you can do things. You just have to be very responsible and very careful. And I think they did a great job.
Yeah, but that's all out the window.
That's all out the window. And they're just kind of failing right now, because this is just failure. It's extremely disappointing to me. And I think that a lot of us have kind of, not just with COVID, but the NBA has been a leading example for a lot of things. I think even with kind of like the civil unrest and all the social movements, especially, if we're really going to throw names out there in comparison to, I don't know, say the NFL. But right now, I'm angry and I'm disappointed and I'm sad and I'm frustrated. And it's just the fact that game was played. I really think this is just the beginning of it spreading all over the league. And I'm terrified of what's to come. On the NFL, actually, interestingly enough, the NFL has a much harsher stance on this.
on this now, but I think in the beginning,
right?
I think over the years with a lot of different things.
I'm saying currently,
yeah,
which their stance currently, as far as I understand it, is if you have an outbreak in your locker room among players, specifically unvaccinated players, you will not play that next game on your schedule, and it will count as a forfeit. It is a loss. It's not, oh, we'll just postpone it and play it later, because the NFL doesn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
They tried that the first season they played in the COVID year, and they did a horrible job of it because they moved games to Tuesdays and Wednesdays and the following week, and they shuffled things around. I remember the Dolphins, I think it was the Dolphins bye week got completely shifted. It was a whole problem. They didn't do it well. This year, I was much happier with it. They said, go get vaccinated, do the best you can. If you don't, that's fine.
Or you can lie to the media about being vaccinated. That's
shout out to A-Rod and Antonio Brown, you dummies. Like, if you have that breakout, you will lose the game. The NBA has the, in my opinion, advantage of not being the NFL, having a longer season, having the ability to be flexible, even if they didn't want to move it to Christmas Day. You can move this game to any other time. Sure, you're going to kind of mess up the back-to-backs and stuff. That's not that big a deal. And I'm sure if you had asked either of those two teams, they would have been more than happy to do that, especially the Bulls, who, let's be completely honest, they had a crazy advantage with all of their starters still being there. They still find a way to catch that L, right? So I'm sure if you had asked them now, they're going to be like, yeah, we shouldn't have played that game either. They could have moved it to any other point of the season. There's days off that you could have shifted around. You could have figured out a way to make it work. They just decided we don't care to. Figure out a way to make it work, Adam Silver, because this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And at some point, the LeBron James of the teams, the Kevin Durant's, the Stephen Curry's, the Jimmy Butlers, they're going to get it, and they're going to sit out a while. And you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands, especially if it comes in a really crucial time of the year, be it right before the playoffs or in the playoffs. Find a way to make it work, because if you can't, listen, you're going to see a lot more LeBron tweets with fish emojis. Your favorite league is really effing up.
How is this not your favorite league?
I just
you support the NFL. The NFL literally lets murderers play. They're like, oh, you killed someone in cold blood. It's cool. Just make sure you play a good game on Sunday.
You know where I stand, Laura. Like, football has had my heart since I was a child.
You can love football.
Fine. Yeah. As an organization.
Yeah.
The NBA is much better. But
right. I'm not talking about the sport itself.
Right now, cue ball is really messing me up. So I'm not with it.
Cue ball?
Do you know what a cue ball is?
Like in pool?
Yeah. Do you know what color a cue ball is?
Yes.
It's white. And
I got you.
It's bald, like Adam Silver.
Listen, I fired off at Adam multiple episodes at this point. I'm not happy with the commissioner at all right now.
I mean, I guess that's why they call him Adam Silver, not Adam Gold, right?
This is another one of those moments.
Got him again.
You got him. Yeah, them, all of them.
Oh, no, this time him was Mr. Silver. Him.
Okay.
The way
he doesn't deserve to be called Mr. Silver.
But the way he keeps performing as commissioner, they should call him Adam Bronze.
Okay, that one was good.
It's the same joke.
No, that one
was the same joke, just the other way.
No, I don't know. It hit better.
Oh my, yeah, because it was like a real shot at him taking a step down. Is there a lower medal than bronze?
He didn't medal. He didn't get up on that podium.
Yeah, but then it doesn't really like. It's just hard to be Adam. Like, they shouldn't call him Adam Silver. They should just call him Adam, because you don't get a medal. Like, what are we doing? That sounds terrible. Do we have other things to talk about? Is that it? Are we good?
I mean, I think I said my piece on that topic.
Oh, I just meant in general for the episode.
That should be the episode. This should be the most important thing.
It is. But the Heat have been winning games.
The Heat have been winning games, the last two specifically.
To all of our surprise. And I don't care who the hell you think you were. No one would have pegged the Heat to win these last two games.
I thought the Heat would beat the Bulls. In fact, I have it on record because I made a bet with someone, or they tried to make a bet with me, but.
So you're telling me, Oh, okay. But just the Bulls game. I'm saying both games.
Oh, no. Yeah. Just the Bulls
I
game,
believe
though.
they would have won the Bulls game too, because the Bulls are, just one of those bad organizations like the Cavaliers that I'll never let go of.
You know how stupid you sound saying that? Like, are you aware?
You're so mad about the Bulls.
It's so stupid that you're just saying it for no reason. It's not even true.
Right, but how much do you think I'm just saying it just to ignite you?
But
just to
you
really
look
get you going.
Stupid.
But I could just be trolling.
Right, but you still look stupid because no one knows you're just trolling.
You're being hurtful and you're not supposed to say that word. Okay.
Says who? Your kindergarten teacher?
You're not supposed to call
like
people
Mrs.
stupid.
Lindenberry.
The hell school did you go to?
I'm talking about your kindergarten teacher, not mine. That's where I imagine you.
Lindenberry?
I don't know.
Like, first of all, I grew up in Miami. You could have gone with like Miss Lopez, an actual last name of a teacher I had. Right? Miss Gutierrez, right?
No, I kind of just imagine you in like a Little House on the Prairie situation. No offense to anyone whose last name is Lindenberry, by the way, but
you are messing. You are not politically correct. Calling people stupid.
Oh, absolutely not. Shout out to Alan.
And making fun of Lindenberries.
I'm calling you stupid. And I said you sound stupid.
That's horrible. Look, the Heat went and lost to Milwaukee by a pretty sizable margin.
Okay, yes.
They lost to Memphis. When they didn't have Ja Morant.
But I'm saying we both agree that we thought they were going to win against the Bulls.
But then they come back and beat the Bucks and the Bulls.
I will say, though, I think that going into the Bucks game, their mentality was like, this is do or die. To me, the energy looked completely different. I'm not saying that I knew that they were going to win, but I do. No, I'm saying I didn't think they were going to pull that off, but I'm just saying, like, I think at the beginning of the game, I even noticed their body language was completely different. I mean, they were embarrassed.
You're not one to look back like this. I am, and I will forever be. To me, those two games,
I'm not like one to look at the past. It's like present,
sometimes you got to learn from it. Look, the thing with the Milwaukee and Chicago games, they looked good. The energy was great. They looked like they belonged in the games from the get, right? It wasn't like this crazy miraculous comeback that was kind of out of nowhere and they caught them sleeping. Mm-hmm. They looked ready the entire time. My frustration comes from, I wish it hadn't taken this long for them to do that, especially in some of these other games that I think were more winnable. And even if not winnable, you could have looked more respectable in those matchups, right? The game against Milwaukee in Milwaukee, that happens. That one I'm not too upset about. Milwaukee's still a good team. It was up there. You lost some guys, fine. But the loss to Memphis, the loss to Cleveland, look, I'm not saying that those teams are bad, but if the Heat can come out and beat the Bucks and Bulls,
oh no, they should have won those games. Absolutely.
They should have won, or at least look more competitive in those. It just sucks that what it takes for this team sometimes is to either feel like their backs are against the wall because they're playing a much better team, or to have hit this really big downswing to really be like, guys, this is all we have left. Now you got to show up. Bring that energy from the start. Do you think this kind of energy that they've had in these last two games is something that they can start doing moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sustainable. No, I think it's sustainable for sure. I also just think it's like, for better or worse, they have had a lot of situations that made them have to pivot different ways. I think that obviously that hurt us in a lot of ways, but I also think it made us more resilient. So I don't know. To me, at this point, every game should be winnable. I'm not saying they will win, but they should look at it as though they can. And to your point, come out from the get with that energy and not be beaten down to a point of no return. And all of a sudden, then that's what makes them get up and go hard. I am curious to see, when Jimmy's going to come back, how Bam's doing on his recovery. I know your boy Depot is now traveling with them to get used to travel, which, not to circle back to this again, but that also crossed my mind of how unfortunate would it be if this man was traveling just to travel and get back into it and got exposed. Like, that would be the cherry on top, just exactly what he didn't need. But yeah, I'm curious to see what happens moving forward. We're playing the Cavs, the 76ers, and the Magic this week. All of those should be dubs.
So I think actually it's really perfect timing, especially with that Cavs game, because to me, it really gives them an opportunity to show these last two games weren't flukes. And I'm not saying they were flukes, but we know that the Miami Heat have a very play to the level of your competition kind of thing that they do. When they're playing the Milwaukee.
But I thought the Bulls were awful, Michael.
I mean,
I thought they were a joke, fraudulent.
I mean, they lost to a team led by Duncan Robinson, who, according to Heat Twitter, should have been traded for a bag of potato chips. So
you're going to listen to Heat Twitter on anything? Heat Twitter probably also thinks this game should have been played.
I will listen to anything that helps me prove my point. If that makes sense.
It makes sense. It's not a great way to live, but it makes sense.
But it makes sense, right? And that's all I need is for it to make sense. Look, they're playing the Cavaliers. Yes, we got into an argument over the Cavaliers.
Me and you argue? No way.
But you and I both agree that the Heat should not have lost by 26 points at home to the Cavaliers. No. That was, in my opinion, a fairly embarrassing loss, regardless of who the Heat were missing. They have this game to respond. They're playing in Cleveland tomorrow night or tonight, depending on when you're listening. You have a chance to come in and do something about it. Show us that the games you had against Milwaukee and Chicago weren't just you playing up to better competition, that is who you are. Come out with that same aggression. And they don't have to have the same stat lines. Look, I get it. Sometimes players just miss. It happens. Caleb Martin scored 28 points against Milwaukee. I don't expect that to become a routine thing. Was he 6 of 8 from 3-point? That's not normal, right? But I want to see them play with that same aggression, that same intensity. And to be honest, defensively, that's something you should be able to do every night.
Absolutely.
The other team is just draining threes and you can't stop them. You know, sometimes it happens. If they're 3 feet behind the line and they're making it, you know, they probably play for the Nuggets against us. It is what it is. I just need some consistency in the effort. And I'm hoping that they can start showing it to us. I think tomorrow night is the perfect first test for that because they spanked you pretty good on your own floor. I wouldn't be happy walking away from that.
No. And I think to your point, these 2 wins came at the perfect time because these next 3, they already were winnable games, but now with that momentum, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to hold my breath because if there's one thing I learned, you never know what's going on with this team. But I think we both agree what should happen. So we can move on to Culture Player of the Week. And you came in here boasting that you know right off the bat who yours is. So go ahead.
I just am very proud of this player. I'm going with KZ Okpala because, I mean, if you were a Heat fan who wasn't ready to write off KZ Okpala, then you love
J. Mark.
I mean, come on, everybody was ready for him to be on another team.
Ricky J. Mark.
Okay. Well, if you weren't ready to write off KZ Okpala, then you love KZ Okpala as much as I love Victor Oladipo, who, and I will say this plainly, even if, God forbid, that guy comes back and gets hurt, I'm still going to ride that Victor Oladipo train all the way, and I'm going to wear that jersey proud. So, to the KZ Okpala stands out there, all one or less of you, congratulations. KZ looks like a competent NBA player.
It's the braid.
Which I didn't think was ever going to happen. He has a way of really liking to play against superstars. I think one of his better games before came against Brooklyn when he was having to defend like KD and stuff. But now he's coming in here. He had a really good game against Milwaukee. He had another good game against the Bulls. He's playing like this center position that I don't think any of us would have expected to see him in. He actually has rebounded the ball well. He was our leading rebounder one of the nights, I think it was, against the Bucks. Yeah, he was our leading rebounder against the Bucks. Him and Dwayne Dedmon. No one should have seen that coming, because if you did, my God, you should go play the lottery. Go be
I was about to say, if you did see it coming, please tell me what numbers I should play in the lottery this week.
Yeah, buy out whatever.
Highly impressive.
The man was a plus 23 against Milwaukee, and plus minus isn't the greatest of stats. Well, that's a pretty freaking telling stat. So to KZ Okpala, a man who you and I had both written off, and I think 99% of the entire world had written off as an NBA player. Kudos to you, sir. I hope you can do it consistently. It is a small sample size, so I'm not ready to say you've made it. But for those 2 games, you were very crucial to this team's success. And so thank you, KZ.
You actually mentioned mine in that speech of yours. I'm going with Dedmon. Man was just chucking up threes. They looked beautiful. He had no fear. Mr. Dedmon has been doing what he needs to do. I'm not saying that it's enough. I'm not saying that the job has been easy, nor that it's necessarily something that I too feel comfortable relying on him for bigger minutes than he's playing. But he's looked great. And I think that he's given us, at least me, more than I expected in Bam's absence. So even off the court, I feel like he's just one of those guys that you want on a team like this. He keeps up the morale. He's high energy. He just does what he needs to do. So kudos to the mechanic because he's been doing it, and I hope it keeps up.
The depth that wasn't there is now there, and then I'm worried that it won't be there again, either because of COVID or everybody putting up some stinkers every once in a while. I will say this: honorary culture persona of the week, I'm going to give it to Eric Spoelstra.
I am not, because I really didn't like his comments last night. And I wasn't going to get into this.
You didn't like his comments? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't remember what his comments were, and you can get into them in a second.
No, but I think I'm going to skip it before I get canceled.
But to Spoelstra, well done with the lineup, sir. Whatever the hell they were successful. Mm-hmm. He's starting to figure it out. And so is Kyle. And so is Duncan. So listen,
it's almost like when the entire team starts clicking, we win, which is so weird because it's like this girl kept saying that literally all season, and here we are.
Right. Okay. But anybody could say that about any team.
No, absolutely not. There are a huge amount of teams out there where all you need are one or two guys carrying.
Oh, no. What I'm saying is when you have a team that everyone is clicking, obviously they're going to win.
For us, it's either everything and everyone or nothing. We are incapable when one thing goes wrong, everything gets derailed.
I think with the way the lineup is now, with Bam out and Jimmy out, I agree with you. When Bam and Jimmy come back, yeah, I don't think the whole lineup has to be on for them to win the game.
I think everyone has to play their role correctly, or it doesn't work at all.
I mean, they have to play the role correctly, but you can have a takeover game from Jimmy, and I mean, we're good.
Yeah, as long as the rest are filling in where they need to fill in.
I disagree with you on that, but
and that is
I'm not going to say more than that. I'm not going to call you names like stupid because I choose to take the high road.
That's nice. What's that like?
The view is fantastic. Yeah. It's pretty COVID free up here too.
Same.
Well,
God forbid.
You're on the low road in Chicago with the Zach LaVines of the world.
I will take being on the same tier as Zach LaVine. Thank you.
I mean, in this one scenario, we were talking about COVID related. Okay.
He's already had it too, which I feel horrible for. Since the second round.
Catching it again. Mm-hmm. Look at that. Sucks for the Bulls. Sucks for the Heat too. We had to play the Bulls.
Sure will.
Where are we going to next?
Sticking to basketball related matters before I get cranky again. An interesting conversation was happening on our 5RSN Heat thread the other day in regards to if Tyler should expect a max moving forward. Just wanted to pick your brain a little bit because I feel like the thread was pretty 50-50 if memory serves. So I think I know what side you're on, and I think we're actually on the same side here for once, but
I am on the side of whatever you are not. I'm just kidding.
That's not what you were saying in the thread.
I think Tyler deserves that rookie max contract. Mm-hmm. I don't see why you don't give it to him. I think he's still 21. I believe so. He just started being able to drink alcohol.
He's an Aquarius, so his birthday will be coming up.
Yeah, none of that matters.
It matters. Self-proclaimed triple Virg. Do you want me to pull up screenshots? I can.
I'm not Adam Silver. Okay, relax. So, to Tyler, look, give him the deal. I don't see why not give him the deal.
No, if he keeps playing like this, absolutely. If suddenly tomorrow he never plays like he's been playing again, then that changes the conversation.
If he has a 4-month stretch of what Duncan Robinson had the last month, yeah, sure. I mean, I understand that. I just don't see that happening.
No,
the kid's worked really hard to be where he's at. He continues to work hard. I think he's going to continue to get better. To think that this is the most we'll get from Tyler Herro, I think is a bit ridiculous.
Mhm.
Again, when you consider that he is so young and he has so much room to grow.
And what his first 2 seasons in the league were, a bubble year and then a year filled with just complete turmoil.
Right. Does that mean I think that Tyler, as currently made, is a player that gets the max contract and deserves it if he stays at this level? No. I think he needs to continue to improve over the years, and I think he will continue to improve over the years. But we've said it here, and I genuinely believe it. To me, the future of this team is Bam and Tyler together. And I think that's a future of a team that I would be very excited about. So to me, I think it's a no-brainer. Tyler comes knocking for that rookie max. You hand him the contract because you printed it out weeks ago. But I don't know. What do you think?
I am in complete agreement. Like I said, as long as he keeps playing this way. And I think that he has proven the fact that he's bought into the culture, the fact that he understood the role he needed to play and what he needs to work on. And to your earlier point, I don't think that this is it for him. I think he's still young. I think he's still kind of learning what he needs to kind of hone in on, or what he, maybe needs to get a little deeper in his bag with. So yeah, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. I love Jimmy. I love Kyle. The future is not them. They are past their prime at this point, or at their prime at the very least, if we're being generous. So yeah, why
Jimmy.
wouldn't you give him that?
Yeah. I just don't see why not. And if we want to nitpick on his game and talk about areas that he needs to improve, look, I'm probably going to agree with most of them that he has to improve on.
Sure, and they're right here and they're right now, but I believe he can do it, and then he will.
I think you'll get to a point where there are certain things that I don't think he'll ever be. Tyler Herro will never be an elite defender. That is very obvious. Tyler Herro will never be an amazing, facilitator who gets his entire team involved and runs an offense flawlessly, like a Kyle Lowry. That is not who he is. But I think what Tyler Herro does, he can do well. And I think in the coming years, he will do them at an elite level. And so when that happens, I think you'd look ridiculous if you didn't give him that contract, especially considering that right now, if you look at the class he was drafted in, at worst, what is he, top three in that draft class?
Probably. I mean, I don't even know who else got drafted when he did besides Kendrick Nunn.
I mean, the big boy.
Oh, yeah, who we're going to get to later.
I'm sure you're excited to get to that.
I'm not excited. I want people to take back their asinine commentary towards me, because it turns out I was right per usual.
Per usual. Ooh, cabeza grande. We're just pop. All right.
No, I've told you this in our personal conversations too. I don't speak on things unless I'm sure. If I'm not sure, I don't speak on them. It mitigates being wrong.
Boom. Roasted, everybody. Get you some aloe vera, because that's a burn. All right. Caleb Martin.
Yes.
The one who was, let's just be honest, this is what people were calling him. The one who was the bad twin.
I never called him that.
I didn't either. I'm just saying that's what it was.
Well, we don't want to be tied to that name.
I'm not saying we're tied to that name. I'm saying that is what was out there. He has a twin brother that plays for the Hornets. The Hornets decided, we don't want both of you. We just want him. You can go. He were able to pick him up very late in the game. He has been a consistent contributor to the Miami Heat from the start of the season. And he led the way in that win against the Milwaukee Bucks with 28 points and a dunk that
heard around the world,
took the house down, and was just like this dagger that told Giannis, sit down, bring in the Nesses, because this game ain't for you. Y'all lost. So Caleb Martin, what is he? Is he going to improve his scoring? Obviously not be 28 points per night, but is he going to start becoming a 12, 13, 14 point per game guy? Is he just going to keep kind of being that up and down player? What do we expect from him?
It's too soon for, I think, any definitive statements, but what I will say, I think the more time he's given out there in a consistent manner, the more he'll be able to be counted on. And obviously that seems like an obvious statement, but there are certain players who they can just jump right in there, produce, and it doesn't matter if they don't really see the floor for another 3-4 games. I don't think he's one of those guys. I've said the same thing about Strus. I think he needs consistent minutes to really get going and kind of play the role that he needs to play. Obviously, we are a little banged up and now he's out too, but you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And when he comes back, if we're still banged up, and again, I think Spo is figuring out the lineups. I think he should be someone that's counted on more so than we have been. I think everyone from the start has loved his energy, has loved the fact that he kind of came in and soaked everything up like a sponge. But now is the time to actually put him out there and see what he can do. I love what I've seen from him. I hope he gets better soon. From what I hear, he's asymptomatic, which is great because that'll help his recovery or lack thereof needing to recover. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the future holds for him. And he's still on a 2-way contract.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to sign him to a contract here.
Absolutely.
Pretty quickly. I think he has absolutely earned that contract even more than that one game. He has shown that he has a place on this team. And he was somebody that I didn't know what to expect from him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when he came out, he looked like an athletic player who could contribute, but I didn't think it would be as significant as it has been. And I didn't think I'd be sitting here thinking, man, it would be kind of nice to have Caleb in games when he's out with COVID or injury, if that happens at some point, like whatever it is. So to Caleb Martin, who has done a good job going from is Caleb Martin to now becoming, okay, that's a gem that we found and we developed. And now he is forever tied, in my opinion, with Heat culture, because he, in my opinion, is that example of, one man's trash is another man's treasure, except it's, in other systems, you might not have looked so good. You might have looked like trash. I don't know exactly. I didn't watch him play much, but you might not have looked like a great NBA player. You come to our system, we're going to get the best out of you. And the Heat find a way to do that consistently. The amount of players that they've turned from undrafted players or G League players into players making millions of dollars on contracts with teams. I mean, it's got to be a longer list than basically anybody else. Absolutely. That is a top-down thing. That is from Pat Riley all the way down to the Water Boy and the G League team in Sioux Falls. So even Marcus Garrett had a couple minutes where he came in and played. Even in those minutes, Marcus Garrett looked capable.
He did.
He was an undrafted guy, and it genuinely feels like I was worried that someone else was going to steal him with a full contract after summer league. The Heat find a way of getting these players and making them NBA viable. And if they really buy in and they really have it, I mean, star is a big word, but NBA millionaires, like good sized millionaires. So Caleb Martin is just another beautiful example of that. And another reason why everybody should remember what Heat culture is. And as rough as it may get over the next couple of weeks, if they can make Caleb Martin what he has been, and obviously Caleb Martin deserves a ton of credit for that because he's the one putting in the work, they'll be fine when they have the roster together. And as long as that roster stays together, I don't care what NBA team is out there with us. I genuinely think the Heat should win the game every time.
If only we could get healthy and stay that way.
Yeah, you can't have everything.
Apparently not, but what you can have is faith in Kyle. And let me just say, all y'all who were so concerned about this man's offense to the point of, I don't know, I think it was a mistake that we brought him on. We should try and move him. I hope all of you are feeling as dumb as you have looked and sounded, because Kyle clearly is fine. He's played lights out these past 2 games. I think it's only going to continue. I think at this point, he's realized that without Jimmy and Bam, his game has to change a little bit, and it sure did. So I don't know if your concerns are gone. I know you're definitely not to the point of wanting to give him away. There were a lot of people, though, that I saw on Twitter that were done with him and that called him a mistake. I know you weren't at that point, but do you still have concerns? Are you fully bought in that Kyle is our leader? How are you feeling?
I mean, I think offensively, especially, Kyle was always the leader of this team, right? Like, he's the one that runs it. I think he runs the offense well. My issues with Kyle were, one, the shot wasn't falling, which is the same issues I was having with Duncan. The difference is Kyle does other things, right? So if Kyle's shot isn't falling, I'm still putting him out there because he does other things that I don't think can be replicated by other players on this team, at least not easily, and not by any one player. but Kyle's finding a way to get back into rhythm. He is shooting more shots. I wanted more shots from him. I wanted more aggressiveness from him. Now he did that against the Bucks. He shot 21 times against Milwaukee, right? He had 22 points. I was happy with that.
And was like, Mr. Michael can't be slandering me like this. I have to prove him wrong.
I mean, listen, if Kyle Lowry knows who I am, I'm just going to faint in
only
my
by Mr. Michael, though.
I take it back. I don't want him to know me. Against the Bulls, he only had 10 shots. I'm okay with that. That is a game that we had pretty much under our control from the get. So I don't need him to go out there and score a ton of points. And he had 14 assists? Great. I'm fine with that. What my frustrations were in games that we lose, I need to see him put up at least, I don't know, I'm going to say anywhere between 15 and 20 shots in games that we lose, because that means that it's not working for other people. So you're going out there and saying, I'm going to make it happen for us myself. In the games that we're up by a lot, sure. Yeah. You don't have to put, your foot all the way down on the gas. You're good. Kind of do what you got to do. And he did that. I am not ready to say that my concerns over his offense are completely over, because it is a small sample size. This is 2 games. Duncan is starting to make it a trend with improved shooting. I think he's been shooting close to a little over 40% from 3-point over the last, I don't know how many games. I think it was like 5 or 6 games, maybe. That's starting to become a trend. When it starts to become a trend like that for Kyle.
Okay, so I'll check back in a few weeks with you.
Yeah. I just think we can't take like a small sample size. And
can.
That's kind of silly.
I can, because I was never concerned.
Right. But okay. But let's say we take a 10-game stretch. First 4 games, he struggles offensively. Those 2 middle games has great offensive games. Next 4, he goes and struggles again.
That doesn't mean I'm concerned overall. That just means I need him to do better.
Okay.
To me, there's a big difference between wanting more from a player who can do more, a la Duncan, and saying it was a mistake to take him. We spent too much money on him. He's too old. Like that entire narrative. Right. I'm not talking about you, but that entire narrative
I understand.
Is mind blowing.
When I'm talking about concern towards Kyle Lowry, it's that consistent, better shooting percentages.
Yeah, you want better from him on a consistent basis.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So from that, I'm not ready to say he's always going to give us better and what I'm expecting, because again, it is a small sample size. I know he can. It's never been a matter of he can't. So that's why I've never been on board with, let's just get rid of him for whatever. Look, there are certain trade packages that I agree, shouldn't be turned down or whatever, but constantly like pushing these things, right? Every time a player has a bad game and going on being like, let's just throw him in with 6 other players and get Damian Lillard.
But these people have no voice if that's not what they're there to talk about. They have no purpose to what they have to say. So
trades can help a team. I don't doubt that at all.
Sure, there's a time and a place.
And buyouts help teams. The Heat know that very well. I just think it doesn't always have to be this player's not playing so well. Look at who they didn't sign in the offseason. Look at who they didn't trade for. That doesn't always have to be the conversation. Sometimes the conversation is it's just not working out. And this is a move that we were all happy with. You can't come here now and be like, oh, what a stupid move.
Sure you can. Ask Heat Twitter. I mean, they do that day in and day out.
Look, Kyle has struggled. We can admit that.
I actually don't think he struggled, and that's the other part of it. I don't think
the shots weren't falling. The shots weren't falling. I think that's a struggle.
I don't agree. I think Duncan has struggled because Duncan came in, and Duncan's role is one thing.
Right. This is not about Duncan, though.
My point is that Duncan has one job. That wasn't the job that Kyle had. That's not what he signed up for. That's not why we brought him on.
I don't know. He had Duncan was defending Zach LaVine.
Oh, he had to pivot
so bad
to
now that I know he got COVID. Oh man. Okay, sorry.
That just hit you now. That
it's just my boy D-Rob. I need D-Rob out there.
We need everyone out there because we are losing bodies like none.
But I need D-Rob out there. He's my boy. Okay. He was my boy when he was down, and I said
more or less than Depot.
Less,
okay.
Always less. Look,
I thought you were gonna hesitate on that.
It's like a right, like Depot, and then Duncan.
Well, that's still kind of close.
And then Bam.
Okay.
And then everyone else.
So Duncan and Bam are closer than Depot and Duncan.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Duncan is my guy because, again, I was a 3-point shooter on the team in high school, so I know what it's like to have that one job, and when you don't do that one job, people hate you. So I know.
Oh
I know
my
that's
God, you're likening yourself to Duncan Robinson.
I mean, people called me Duncan Robinson when I was shooting in high school, and I didn't really understand it, and now I get it.
Yeah.
10 years ago when I was playing in high school.
With Mrs. Lindenberry.
Lopez.
At Little House in the Prairie school.
Yeah, we played on an outdoor court, but it was only a half court. So we played
in the
5-on-5
with
half
the
court.
daffodils.
I actually don't know what a daffodil is, to be completely honest with you.
A flower.
I know it's a flower. I don't know what it looks like.
Okay. You just don't. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll send you a bouquet of daffodils.
No.
That's okay.
And I mean, I could use some kindling for the fireplace. Why not?
I have no idea what the connection is.
No, you're saying you're going to send me the bouquet and then I'm going to
you're just going to toss it into the fire. I thought you were trying to make like a Christmas holiday like reference there.
Nah.
Like chestnuts roasting by the open fire type of thing.
Nah, Die Hard is the greatest Christmas movie of all time. We were talking about Kyle. Go continue.
No, I mean, that's basically it. Everyone was stupid who wanted to trade him. The word of the night is stupid. People, COVID is stupid. Adam Silver is stupid. Playing that game was stupid. All of it was stupid, and I'm mad.
I'm just so proud of you for being an adult and really articulating your feelings in such an elaborate way instead of just picking like a buzzword for each of the things.
For the everyman. So notice the everyman.
Listeners,
man,
I
not
love
woman.
You. No,
man, because
listeners,
we know.
No, to all of our listeners, I love you. I don't dumb down what I say for our listeners because I respect all of you and I think you're all very intelligent people. I don't know what she's trying to imply by trying to say she dumbs down all of her things, but I love every one of our listeners equally. And so take that as what you will. I know 95% of you come in here and listen to it for Allana anyways. I get it.
There's
no
such thing as equal love. You love some more than others.
Only when it comes to Victor Oladipo.
See?
Yeah. You want to talk about some fines?
I would like to hand out some fines myself, but maybe this is just me. I feel like the league has gotten very protective of fans and they're babying them. And I am kind of sick of it personally. KD was the latest to be hit with a fine numerically. I now don't remember what it was. I think he had some inappropriate gesture towards a fan.
I think it was Kuzma that flipped off a fan.
I know that, but what did KD?
KD like yelled at a fan and called them some expletives that I will not repeat for. Here's my thing. Purposes.
If it is unprompted, I can understand that it's a hostile act and they want people to enjoy going to the games. Fine. I feel like I don't know again what happened with KD. In recent times, I feel like the fans were heckling or crossing the line. I know that the fans that got thrown out when LeBron went after them supposedly were not saying the nicest thing. So I don't know what this new trend is. I don't know if it's fans becoming emboldened. I don't know if it's players that are going off on them more. I don't know if it's the league just being softer in general. Have you noticed this? Did this strike you in any sort of way?
The KD thing was something like the fan said, KD, stop complaining about all the calls, you crybaby, something like that. I'm sure the fan said other things. I think that's what they said. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure they said other things. And I'm sure that fan, in my opinion, genuinely, this is how I feel. If you've got like a Spike Lee down on the court or like a Kevin Hart down on the court or Jack Nicholson at a Lakers game, right? A celebrity kind of understands has probably met these players somewhere else. And he's kind of trash talking and doing this thing. Look, I understand it's a whole wealth thing. It is a little different. And again, I'm sure most of the time they're not doing this offensive, like, I did it with your mother kind of thing. It's like, what a terrible shot, my guy. You deserve to sit on, right? Like Drake does this kind of stuff all the time. That's a whole different playing field. I don't know what the trend is lately for all these people sitting courtside. Look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never sat courtside before at an NBA game. If I ever did, I would not be yelling at the players.
Absolutely not. I would be more respectful than I've ever been in my life.
First of all, because they could kick my ass. Let's be completely honest. They could just absolutely floor me. Like they wouldn't do that to you, but I would get decked out for sure. And if I said some stupid stuff, I'd probably deserve it. Number two, I also think, look, it's courtside, right? That's like a dream of mine to sit there. I'm not going to risk
Why would you squander it? Right.
Yelling at some random player over something that, let's be honest, it's just a game. Trash talk is fine. And I think it has a place and I kind of get it. But like when things get over the line and when things go way too far on things like talking about their families, wife and kids, or, saying some really stupid stuff, saying something racist or homophobic, none of that has any place. So to all these fans sitting courtside to think, I'm going to trash talk you because I can, relax. Okay. Like, no, you're lucky you're not saying this to them anywhere else because they would kick your ass and you'd probably deserve it. So don't think that you're safe because you paid a lot of money to be in some seat. I don't blame the NBA for what they did though either, because I'm sure it's not like a great showing when one of your best players in the league is sitting there calling somebody some fat MF or whatever it was that he called them. Right. So I understand why he did it. It was very human of him. And most other people would have responded the same exact way. I just think the NBA is in this kind of tricky situation where, in my opinion, the ones that have to be kept in check better are fans.
I agree. I think fans are the ones that got emboldened. I think that the players are, I'm not saying they're right to do it, but I think the players are always, it's reactionary. It's not them starting it. So I do think that fans randomly have given themselves more of a voice now than ever before. I know there was one-offs and it's like, okay, fine. There was purple shirt guy, right, with Dwayne Wade. But I think in general, we are seeing this on an almost weekly basis now.
But even then, I don't feel like, and maybe it's just the mics didn't pick it up back then, I don't feel like Dwayne said anything too crazy.
No, it was just like a back and forth weird, like
when there's like, but I'm fine with a back and forth.
Yeah.
When it just comes down to like Wade goes and does something and it's like, he just stands there and looks at him like, oh, you're not saying anything now, are you?
And that's
then
part of Wade's character too. I think
or like
he's never been a super hothead.
When we played Charlotte at 1.2 and him and LeBron went and did the Superman celebration in front of Cam Newton, right? Like that. I'm cool with that kind of stuff. I think what happens that people don't want to understand is this the two sides. It's the players are human and they're going to react like humans. And we get upset when people say things towards us, like being called stupid on your own podcast. It's hurtful. Some people react. Now
you're going to make me look like a bully, Michael.
Did I make you look like a bully or did you make yourself look like a bully? Some people react in a more mature manner and some people react in a fiery manner because they feel like they have a right
sometimes,
to do that.
When they're pushed too far.
Sure. But the players have to know they can't do that though either. I
agree.
But
I also do think it matters what's being said. And a lot of times we never find out.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's two lines. It's like, it's tough for them to always be the bigger person. And people push that and push that and push that until the player finally isn't the bigger person. And then we take that one story and we throw it out there for everything. And then we're like, look at this player. He's such a bad person, which we shouldn't do. Because I'm sure it weighs on them. At the same time, your entire livelihood is based on public perception of you and the skills that you bring out there on the court. You can't mess around with that. So I understand both sides of it, and I understand where the NBA is coming from. The NBA can only do one thing towards that situation, and it is fine the player or ban the fan as well, which I'm sure they do. And I would blame them if they didn't. I agree.
No, they do.
More of the blame, in my opinion, falls on the fans. The players also have to realize, like, listen, there's a bunch of cameras on you. Like, who's to say there's not a kid sitting 3, 4, 5 rows up that has a Kevin Durant jersey on? Is like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Kevin Durant's right there. And then he goes and says that. I understand why he did it. I'm not blaming him for having done it, but that's where the NBA is coming from. So it's just a tough thing. Look, if you're sitting courtside, just shut the hell up. Appreciate that you're there. Enjoy the game. And then walk away. Because you have no power here. And if they wanted to, they would kick your ass. So just drop it.
I'm taking the player side, but I do appreciate and respect and understand your point of view as well.
Oh, how nice of you to not call it stupid.
Yeah.
Bully. All right. Last thing, and I will tee this one off. Okay. There is a certain fast food mascot masquerading as an NBA player.
That was the worst way to set this up.
Why?
Because
that's what you called him to me in our text messages.
That is a lie. First of all, anyone that knows me knows I would never, that's not even a joke I would make.
I don't even know what fast food mascot it would be.
I don't know.
Like, there's not a heavy fast food mascot.
What about that guy with the like Jack in the Box? He has a big head.
But he's a Jack in the Box.
I'm just saying his head's big. I don't know. That was the first thing I thought
You know
of.
what a Jack in the Box is?
Yes, those really creepy things that pop
Right,
out.
they always have
Ugh.
big heads. It's just how it goes.
Okay, the point is, I want to make something very clear. If he was not a professional athlete and was not harming himself by not being in the correct shape, I don't care. I don't care what you look like. I don't care if you would never work out a day in your life. I don't care what you eat. I do not care. It is a personal thing, just like I don't like when people talk about my lifestyle. The point that I keep trying to make, he has a horrible injury, and I'm not saying that the reoccurrence is only because of his conditioning. I also want to make this clear. It doesn't help that he is not losing the weight. It doesn't help that he's not taking care of himself. That is a lot of weight to put on an injured foot. Now, can he do a full workout? Of course not. He's injured, but there are steps that I think he could be taking that he's not. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't see a bright future, if any future at all, for him anymore. And it's disheartening because he's young. He's
an explosive and very marketable NBA player.
There was a lot of athleticism that he had for his size. I never thought his game would translate very well to the pros. I'll be honest there. The hype I thought was way overblown, but he could have been something.
Kind of like RJ Barrett. Kind of like RJ Barrett.
Sure.
Bing bong. Continue.
Listen, I don't get it. I feel bad for him. It's a really bizarre situation to me, and I don't understand why people keep thinking I'm crazy for commenting on this, because I'm not alone.
Yeah, here's my thing on Zion that I genuinely believe, and it's a theory I have. I believe this theory, but obviously I'm not saying that it is exactly what it is. I would not be surprised at all if he was having any battles over it. Like, I'm pretty confident that he has like some inner demons he has to work out with this kind of stuff.
I don't think he's walking around saying I don't care.
And I'm pretty sure that, his mental health isn't all there when it comes to this situation. Like, I'm sure he's struggling big time, and that was a bad choice of words. I was going to say it weighs on you, but like it like starts chipping away at you. And
this isn't all on him. This is on his team. This is on everyone. How old is he even?
It's on the team and everybody too, but I think
I don't mean the team. I mean his team.
Right. His team of people. But I think at a certain point too, like he has to just do it himself. And this goes for anybody with their weight and their health and their diet and anything. Like, ultimately, it is on you to do what you have to do. It's on you to make the choices about your food. It is on you to drink more water. It is on you to work out more consistently. It is on you to do the right workouts and be, good about following it all. It eventually comes down to the one person. And I think he is battling with this big time, but I do agree with you. You are a professional basketball player. This is your livelihood. This is like if someone was working, in accounting or something like that, and they didn't know how to use Excel, or they weren't good at math. Like, sure, there are ways around it. You could figure something out, right? It's not like there's never been NBA players that weren't heavy, but they figured out what to do to their game so that they could play with that anyways. Charles Barkley found a way to do that, right? Especially as he was getting heavier throughout the years.
To me too, if he was healthy from the standpoint of not, nursing an injury, I would still find the weight problematic. But to your point, it could be okay. It's not okay now because he can't get healthy because he is putting too much weight on his foot. And
to be completely honest, it's not okay because you and I can both agree that if a player is heavier and it's not a healthy heavier, right? Like, you gain a ton of muscle, you're going to be heavier, but you're healthy heavier, right? That's fine. But when it's an unhealthy heavy, you're not performing the best you can. And so again, it's the only reason I think it's worth nitpicking with him and worth calling out with him is this is your job. This is what you do. If you don't want to do this anymore, If you've decided this is not for me, I can't stay in shape, I can't stay healthy, I don't want this to be the rest of my life, I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
No one should have a problem with that. You are free to do whatever you want with your life. But if you're like, no, I still want to go out there and play basketball, you got to be in basketball shape. You got to do the right things to help your team win. And let's be honest, it's not like this is the first time we've ever seen a player like this. And it's not like there aren't other NBA players that struggle with things. Because I will say it, Luka Doncic isn't the most in shape player.
And he
finds a way to play amazingly.
Yep.
Like Luka plays amazingly, but Luka's not in the best shape.
No.
You put Luka in the heat conditioning, I'm sure that boy's going to be putting up a lot better stuff. But like, sometimes you get used to being the size that you are and things just end up a little bit differently. And so it's something that happens. It's weird, right? Like, look, and I'll say this personally for myself. And I don't mind that. I struggle with my own weight sometimes. Sometimes I fluctuate and I'm not at places I want to be. I have a desk job, right? If I want to go work out and I want to go to the gym, I have to do it before I go to work or after I go to work, which takes away from other things I want to do. It's tough. I'm not on my feet. I'm just sitting down all day, right? It's hard for me to figure it out. And for me, it's like, okay, you know, it happens. I got to find a way to be better disciplined about it. But if you told me my job was going out there and playing basketball every day of my life, and I'm not in the best shape of my life, either medically there's something wrong with me, or I am not doing the right things. And I think for the most part, it's just these guys aren't doing the right things. So look, Luka finds a way to be successful regardless, but for his conditioning and his future health, he should figure it out.
And I think he will, because I think addressing it was the first step.
Yeah. And look, to Zion, I do hope Zion comes back because he's a fun player to watch.
And he seems like a really good guy. I'm not trying to put him down as a person. A lot of people love him. I think
it's weird for me to like players that come out of Duke, because usually when they come out of Duke, it's like, you douchebag. But Zion seems like a nice guy. It's just
he does. I don't, again, unfortunately, I don't personally see a happy ending to this. I hope I'm wrong. But it's a long road ahead for him, regardless of what happens.
It really is. And I hope he comes back. I do. And you know what? Here's my really crazy theory. I hope that the Pelicans are like, you know what? We can't deal with this. Get out of here. And then the whole NBA is like, you know what, Zion, for your own good, you should go to Miami. So they're really going to get you in shape. And then we got this super team down here with Zion. He's just dunking on everybody. Listen, I'm all for it. Let's go. Super team. I'm in.
Okay. Michael has had a stroke, so we're going to have to end this episode.
No. Wait. One thing before we go, completely off topic, just because it's the Christmas season. Okay. Your top 3 Christmas movies, go.
This Christmas is number 1.
Okay.
Serendipity is number 2. Best Man Christmas, I guess.
Are you actually watching any of these? Like,
yes, I watch this Christmas every year. I literally could recite the whole movie start to finish. It is my favorite.
Okay. Number 1 Christmas movie in my book, and I think it should be everybody's book, Die Hard starring Bruce Willis. Okay. Yippee-ki-yay. There is no better line delivered, in my opinion, ever. Yippee-ki-yay, mother. And I won't say it because, again, it's publications things. Fantastic line. Number 2, I gotta go with Elf. Elf is amazing movie. And then number 3, which kind of teeters the line on holidays, is Nightmare Before Christmas. That movie is fire. So I think my top 3 is better. And I think most people would agree with that.
Have you seen this Christmas?
Yes. I think once.
The older I get, the less like I don't care about Christmas at all, but every year I will watch that.
You just don't care about it?
No, it's just not really my thing. One of my best friends and I watch whenever we get together now, he makes me watch at least one holiday movie together, and that's the extent of my holiday spirit. I don't know. The best part about Christmas to me is the NBA games. Like that's it.
That's the best part of me to Thanksgiving is the NFL games. It's just having them all day in the background. But
yeah,
I think you should go watch Die Hard again if you haven't seen it. You seem like somebody that's never seen it.
No, I have seen it. I think I saw it with my dad a long time ago.
Oh, you have to watch it again.
Maybe I will.
Hans, Bubby. It's just a great movie. Like it's so good. I'm gonna go watch it now. Now, once we cut this off, I'm gonna go watch it. And everybody listening, you should go watch it too, unless you're driving, in which case, stay safe if you're listening to this in the car. Other than that, I've got nothing left to say. So you can just, Die Hard.
Good night, y'all.